Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Boys will be boys, right? Today in the rLounge, Death by Alfredo Sauce. Up first, the house of cards collapses. Am I the a-hole for cutting off his daughter and taking away the things I was doing for her after she had some type of relationship with the woman her father cheated with? I, female 29, usually stay with my boyfriend Carl, male 38, on weekends. He lives with his daughter, female 16, when she's in due to joint custody. He works a job that he hates because he has no opportunities for growing his career. So 7 months ago, he started a company with an associate, Gabby, female 35. She's definitely successful and knowledgeable, so my concern was what would happen if she ever decided to cut him off. I'm mentioning this because his contribution to their association was to bring clients, but not technical or anything. For the past 5 months, he stayed out late while working on their plans. I never had any reason to doubt or suspicion until he went to meet her on a Sunday afternoon. I didn't say anything because I know starting a business requires a lot of effort, but it's odd to allow an associate to interfere with family life. 2 weekends ago, she showed up and berated him for cheating on her. We were hanging out at his place with his 2 brothers, mother-in-law, his daughter, and sister-in-law. Gabby showed up knocking at the door while Carl was in the shower. I started getting weirded out when his family seemed hesitant to answer the door. His brother finally went to talk to her, but she walked past him and confronted me. She asked her about our relationship. I'll admit that I was a bit rude because I got defensive. His brother went to get Carl, and it all turned into a crap show. At this point, I'm disgusted and I don't know who was the real girlfriend and who was the side chick. Also, it's worth noting that she accused his family of betraying her. Carl remained vague when I demanded some answers and I felt like slapping him, but I controlled myself. She stormed out after an ugly exchange. I broke up with him that same day and haven't been able to find my way back into a good mental state. I can't believe anything he says, so whatever he explains will be a lie. This is where I might be the a-hole. I made the decision to pull my support for his daughter. I had been paying for a makeup subscription box but canceled it. She was getting her prom dress as a loan from a friend of mine who has 4 girls. I told my friend what happened and we agreed that his daughter doesn't deserve any of my help. I also kicked them both out of my streaming services and will not help with the history school project, nor will I keep her in my magazine subscription plan. Carl reached out trying to discuss what I'm doing about his daughter. He said she's just a teenager and shouldn't pay for his mistakes. I agree that she has no power to keep him from doing bad things, nor to keep him from being a liar. And I know that she wouldn't be in a position to tell or warn me that her dad was cheating. But she's almost 17 next month, and she's very mature and she's definitely capable of telling right from wrong. And she had 0 problems getting stuff and receiving help and favors from me, and was uncomfortable asking for things. She's not a brat or the demanding type. She low-key asked for stuff and I was happy to help. I'm sure she's also benefited from Gabby because it makes sense since I'm under the impression that Gabby was no stranger to her either. I told him, let Gabby do it, and he tried to complain about how Gabby vandalized their website. She took their page down and all it shows is a black screen. He says she locked him out of all the logins and supposedly had all her contacts block him. The only thing giving a little joy right now is imagining him naked and holding his balls out in the cold. Am I the a-hole? My friends are divided over this, not because of him, but because they say she's just a teenager. The OP was voted not the a-hole. Let's get some relevant comments from the community too. First one. How long have you known his daughter? She knew her dad was cheating on you and didn't care enough to say anything. Also, you broke up with her dad. Do you have any desire to maintain contact with him, his daughter, or any part of his life? If not, then you did the right thing. You should inform him or her about needing to find a new dress so that she doesn't get entirely blindsided. Only because that's a formative experience for teenagers, but you don't owe her any favors or further involvement. However, if you've been involved with raising her for years, you may want to consider your approach and wait until after the anger has subsided a bit before making any decisions about her. Just my 2 cents, not the a-hole. The OP replies, I've known her since she was 15. I don't want to continue the relationship because I don't trust her, neither her dad nor anyone in their family. The next opinion says this. It sucks, but why would you continue to help out someone else's kid? Tell Carl that she's not your kid, so maybe her father should start paying for some of this stuff so she doesn't feel like she's being punished. Block him. It's not her fault, but it's not your responsibility either. The next person says, Not the a-hole. Honestly, it sucks her daughter was caught in the crossfire, but if it were me, I would make a total clean break, which means both of them. Block the cheating piece of crap and move on. It's his kid. Let him figure it out. She has a mother, not your circus, not your monkeys. One more thought. Not the a-hole at all. She apparently learns from her family how to take advantage of people's kindness. Hopefully this will teach her a lesson. Especially if you said she's a mature, almost 17-year-old. This is a lesson she needs to learn. Update. 2 days later. Thanks to everyone who took the time to reply. I think the consensus was about his daughter. I will not be contacting her at all. I reached out to Gabby via social media and she replied. I explained my position and that I didn't know about her, hence I was very rude and reached out with hostility. We exchanged messages. She says that initially he told her that we were in an open relationship that was about to end. They were talking for months before they began their relationship. She says he first introduced his kid, then his younger brother, and that she met his mom when Carl invited her for lunch and had his mom show up without telling her. Also, she said that his mom was less than friendly and that his mother made a small scene because she decided to pick a fight with her boyfriend. He and mother-in-law are currently broken up. There's no way that she's making this up. Mother-in-law treated that guy like crap. About his daughter. Carl used to visit Gabby on some weekends and would leave his kid at Gabby's place because they bonded over do-it-yourself projects. Now, I know where his daughter got her fairy, witchy, fantasy, elf, polymer, clay jewelry, and hair accessories from. So I guess his working on weekend gigs was a lie. She said they became a couple about a month or two after starting their company because she wouldn't accept an open relationship. He told her that we were done when, in fact, we never broke up, had a crisis, nothing. Gabby mentioned that her dad effing hates him and that things began to get rough because of things he did and her dad noticed. She says she and her dad and other family members always meet for Saturday dinner or Sunday brunch at a particular restaurant, and that her dad noticed how she paid for Carl and his kid, always. And if Carl ever paid for his food, he didn't pay for hers. She said her dad called her out because her dad would usually pay for everyone, his treat, his family, and that he was getting very uncomfortable about Carl, and that he paid for Carl to avoid making a scene, but that he was fed up. So her dad told Carl he expected to be treated for a change as a hostile joke. When they arrived at the restaurant, that Carl was very offended and later told her that her dad's remark was a put-down. She also said that her best friend raised concerns about him and that everything started to crumble because he didn't attend her family's Christmas lunch as he promised, and that he remained a bit low-key during the holidays and claimed to have influenza. He used both of us, but he took far more advantage of her because she made material things available, and while I don't know her except for this situation, her messages show that she's very affected but mostly angry, and I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up destroying him. She repeatedly mentioned that he deserved getting his life ruined. I didn't know that Carl didn't get an MBA like he told me. He never worked 2 jobs that he told me about and also put in his resume. She found out because she paid for background checks and other tools when things started not adding up. Supposedly, this is part of why she started testing his abilities and had been thinking about pulling the plug business-wise. She says it's all BS and that he's very insecure about his social standing. She told me a lot of stuff, but in a nutshell, I'm going to be tested for STDs and already told my family what happened. I'm leaving it at that because writing about it really irritates me for being stupid enough to believe him. Thanks again. Now let's go back for some more comments. First up, how do you get background checks done? Did she say what services she used? That seems like it should be done right at meeting someone nowadays. The OP replies, she didn't say, but I'm assuming it may be a service used by HR companies. Also, she said that she corroborated his graduation year to the public PDF document from that graduation in that university, and his name wasn't there, nor on PDFs 5 years back or 5 years forward. Next opinion. This whole situation is a masterclass in why you should never ignore red flags. The dad lied about everything, his relationship, his job, his education, and somehow still had the audacity to act offended when people didn't cater to him. The daughter is just a casualty in all this, but wow. Imagine finding out your dad is not just a cheater, but also a full-time con artist. Hope OP gets tested and then blocks everyone involved. One more opinion. Not the a-hole. You were never stupid. He was just a master manipulator who juggled lies like a full-time job. The fact that you both and Gabby saw through him in the end says everything. Glad you're prioritizing yourself now, and honestly, he deserves whatever karma has in store. OP, you weren't her stepmother, legal guardian, or even a long-term parental figure. You were just someone who cared about her because of your relationship with her father. You were never obligated to support her. Now that that relationship is over, it makes sense that you wouldn't want to stay involved in any way. She's not a child. She's almost 17. And she knew enough to realize something wasn't right. She was just trying to stir the pot. You're absolutely right to cut ties and move on, OP. Have you ever caught someone in a lie? What was it? Tell us your stories in the comments below. Up next, a brother who hates to share. My brother, 18, has been poisoning my girlfriend, 24, for the past 3 years. She's always been allergic to lactose very severely, to the point where if she had any traces in her food, she would basically crap herself on the spot ever since she was a kid. My brother and I have always been on good terms and always hung out together until 3 years ago when I met my girlfriend. He started getting more distant and mean towards me, talking about how she's ruining our bro-ship and taking me away from our family and him. I told him it was crazy and didn't think too much of it until recently. Going back to 3 years ago when I introduced Katie to my parents, he was livid. I moved out about 6 months later because I was tired of his constant witching about her coming over to sleep and hang out. Ever since then, we would have family dinners at my parents' every month on Sundays. My family is Italian, so we eat a lot of pasta and sauce relevant. My parents always made 2 separate meals ever since they met her, one with no milk or lactose-free milk for Katie, and one for the rest of us. She never had issues unless there was an accidental cross-contamination, which happened every so often. The problem was, every month, at those dinners she was getting sick to the point of rushing to the bathroom and having excruciating diarrhea for an hour with severe cramps. Every single time. At one point, I started refusing to go, and my parents kept insisting, so I gave it another try. It was fine for a few months, and then it started yet again. This goes on or off for 2.5 years. I got really mad last week and got up in the middle of dinner and said to my parents, "Something is up and someone is messing with Katie's food." My parents go quiet and ask me why I would say that. My brother turns rather pale and stops smiling. I knew it was him. I confronted him and he started crying, saying he felt like he had to get payback at her for stealing away his big brother, that it wasn't fair. He said he was adding milk to the batch made for her and he had no regrets. I was absolutely livid. Katie as well. She excused herself and asked me to drive her back to our place. It's been 3 months since she cut contact with my parents. Katie refuses to talk to them anymore because they should have had my brother in check and given him a worse punishment. He literally got a talk, a smack behind the head, and that was it. And he said she can't believe I didn't stop talking to them as well. My parents, on the other hand, are mad that we let this little incident break our relationships. My girlfriend says if I keep contacting them and insisting she forgives my brother, she's going to leave me. I love this girl to death. We've got plans to buy a house eventually and have kids. On the other hand, I love my parents too, but I can't have both anymore. What should I do? Let's see what the community thinks. First up, your brother's an evil, selfish, petty little F, and you should distance yourself from him until he grows the F up. You didn't ruin your bro-ship with him. He did. Next person says, right. I would point out to the brother exactly how his actions ruined their bro-ship. And hell, because of his actions, their relationship will never be the same. Even if he does choose to forgive him and continue having a relationship, the trust is obliterated. And I would make sure to point out to him that it is a big if in regards to continuing the relationship. Next thought. My girlfriend says if I keep contacting them and insisting she forgives my brother, she's going to leave me. I don't blame her. Why would she want to forgive or speak to people who would sweep your brother's horrible behavior under the rug? Your parents had to know he was doing it. That's why they asked why you thought that instead of immediately denying it. She has a choice. Either she stays away from them entirely or she bounces. Update. August 22nd, 2019. The next day. TLDR, my brother was adding milk to the sauce in the pasta dishes and making my girlfriend have severe allergic reactions. I've read over 200 comments from you guys, and it just validated my mind that my family is effed up. I contacted my mom and confronted her about why she would defend my idiotic brother, and she basically said he was young and stupid. I told her a few of your comments and that Katie could press charges, and she broke down crying, saying he won't do it again. Hell no he won't, because I told her I decided to cut them off for good. Katie was actually relieved when I told her I was on her side and cut them off. Basically, told me she was going to dump me for being an idiot who couldn't support his girlfriend of 3 years when she was basically being tortured for fun. I'm just glad she didn't, and that we are getting through this together. Thank you guys for every comment, even the ones calling me out for being an idiot trying to make Katie forgive my brother for the horrible things he did. When you're faced with this kind of dilemma and you've been close to your family for over 20 years, you get blindsided. So me and Katie cut them off starting today, and we plan to move to the USA next year. We always wanted to live there and finally be far away from them. Get some other comments. First up, a happy ending was never in the works, but you managed to find the best possible outcome. Your brother really effed you, your girl, and your family over. Your parents' position is ridiculous. I could understand maybe being forgiving if he had done it once at 15, but he's been doing it for effing years. He's seen the results of how sick she got. He did it most recently at 18? That's an adult. F him. I'm glad you were able to come to this conclusion before your relationship ended over it. I think you made the right call. The OP replied, the comments really hit me hard. Sometimes seeing it from someone else's perspective really opens up your eyes. The OP appeared in the comments and gives a little update on February 5th, 2025, 5 years later. Another comment says, oof, had to check the date when he said they wanted to move to the States next year, and that was bad timing. The OP replied, yeah, we actually never ended up moving to the USA, but didn't go no contact. It's been a roller coaster. The next person chimes in, are you still no contact now? Did your brother or parents ever make an effort to apologize or otherwise make amends? Over the past 5 years, have you had any insights about what's wrong with your brother and or parents? Any idea what your brother is doing now? Finally, did you ever figure out your parents were in on it, as so many commenters speculated? Sorry to be nosy. It's just rare here in BORU that we get to talk with the OP. The OP replied, we kept it no contact, but I effed up the family dynamic. We also got married in between. It has been hard, but no, we do not have any more info about my brother or family. My mom kept trying to reach out, but we blocked and did not respond. He intentionally made your girlfriend sick for years just because he couldn't handle you being in a relationship. That's literally evil. What if she had been allergic to something else? What if it was something that meant life or death? And then your parents brushing it off like it was no big deal? They knew something was going on and still protected him, minimizing what he did instead of holding him accountable. That's absolutely disgusting behavior. Katie has every right to cut them off, and honestly, so do you. What do you make of this? And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.